What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. Advice to disabled, handicapped passengers, folks with special needs, and simply the elderly. This is advice from a veteran Uber driver, been driving off and on for several years as a rideshare driver. A lot of folks do not know what to encounter when getting in the back of an Uber or a Lyft. So I wanted to give this advice so folks could have a better understanding in regards to expectations. The purpose of this video is a follow-up from a video that was done on TikTok by a disabled girl who uses a wheelchair who was unhappy with the performance of her Uber driver. Check this out. Not any audio today, but as you see, she said, I love when Ubers sigh and complain about my wheelchair when they get in the car. Then we sit there in silence. So in other words, she gets out of her wheelchair, sits in the vehicle, and essentially expects the driver to help her out because she is disabled. And if he's sitting there unhappy or pissed off that he has to do extra work, she sits there in silence until he gets the message. Now, as an Uber driver, I don't like neither side of this. Now, clearly, if you have a disabled passenger, being kind and helping them out certainly is doing a good deed for the day. However, being a disabled passenger, understand that this stuff goes above and beyond the duties of a rideshare driver. A lot of passengers feel like they are entitled, but I want you to hear her follow-up and we'll continue on.
Okay, I'm going to address a few things here. Thank you. I am seeing mixed comments where some people are like, yeah, the bottom of your wheels are gross. Like, I whip my hands off too. This man full on clapped his hand and went with his hands, like, in front of me with the door open. Granted, like, I get you wanting to wipe your hands off, and, like, sure, that's fine. Like, I don't mind. But, like, had the door open after putting the wheel in and, like, clapped his hands together and, like wiped them off in front of me, which I thought was rude. And as soon as I came out, I was like, hey, is it okay if I put my chair in your trunk? He was like, doing sighs like that consistently. It wasn't just like a like consistently in front of my face. And maybe someone doesn't want to take me because I'm in a wheelchair. Cool. Tell me and I'll call a different Uber. Like, that's fine. But you're an Uber driver. People in wheelchairs take Ubers a lot of times. I just think that that's super disrespectful. And like, I would never help someone in a wheelchair into my car and go the entire time and like keep sighing and being like he was like grunting and moaning and then sat in silence the entire ride after grunting and moaning and like made me feel like an inconvenience, like was giving me an attitude. And it's like, I am in a wheelchair. I can't help that. If you didn't want to take me, I would have called another Uber. No problem. I don't care. Like, I would have rather called a different Uber than be uncomfortable in his Uber. So I just think that's really disrespectful. And yes, I'm disabled. I don't get this comment at all. Yeah, hi, I'm disabled. And he's a piece of shit. Like, yeah, sure.
So you hear her in that clip talk about drivers sighing and moaning made her feel like it was an inconvenience. Well, to be honest with you folks, whether you're disabled, elderly, special needs, whatever the case may be, a lot of us drivers, gig workers that engage in ride sharing, whether it's with Uber or Lyft, many of us could be doing DoorDash, we could be doing Uber Eats or some other food delivery or other gig work. The reason many of us get into ride sharing is because we do not want to get out the vehicle. We want to pull up to point A, unlock the door, let you get in, drive you to point B and have you get out. Many drivers do not want to do the extra work. Some drivers cannot do the extra work. You could be 90 years old and be an Uber driver. So there's no guarantee that the driver that shows up to pick up you as a passenger is even capable of helping you with this stuff. Uber and Lyft does not have any physical requirements at all to do this job. There's no screening whatsoever. If you can drive a vehicle, you can be an Uber or Lyft driver. And there is absolutely no disclaimer or advisory to the driver that you're going to pick up a passenger that has some type of special need or requires special assistance. Now, Uber and Lyft could easily help this woman out and relieve her of her troubles by giving her some sort of disabled tag so that when she requests rides, the driver receiving the rides knows right off the bat, this is a passenger that is in a wheelchair and will need some getting out of the vehicle type assistance, as opposed to what's happening now, where she is basically up to the mercy of every driver doing what she feels is right. I'm not suggesting that drivers should not assist passengers that have wheelchairs and special needs of sorts, but I am letting disabled, elderly, and special passengers know they don't have to do this. It is above and beyond their job description. And understand, as rideshare drivers, we do not have any form of unemployment insurance or anything. If we get out of the vehicle, help you fold your wheelchair up and slip and fall in the process, or fold your chair up and it pinches our hand or causes us any damage at all, we don't get covered by the company. Everything we do to get you from point A to point B is on the driver. 100% of the expenses, up to and including the insurance. So we are paying for all of this ourselves. There is absolutely no benefit at all to going above and beyond for drivers. And I'm going to give you a real good reason why a lot of drivers are not very fond of going above and beyond. But I want you to hear her follow-up clip, because this is from a driver that was readily willing to assist her in every way possible. She refers to them as a quote-unquote nice driver. But I want you to hear what's missing in her commentary.
Showing y'all what a nice Uber is like, because this is a nice Uber. She's backing into the driveway for me and not sighing at me getting in the Uber. Is it okay if I put my chair in your trunk?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it though.
I can get in, and then just, could you help me with the trunk? And now my Uber is putting the rest of my chair in the trunk, even though it's pouring rain. I helped her take it apart, but she's doing everything else and told me not to feel bad. So let's see what she says when she gets in the car. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about
It's
that.
fine.
Okay, thank you.
Now you see in that video, she states it's a nice Uber, backed up to the driveway to pick her up. I've done that before, backed up to pick people up. Or if I got a car full of groceries, back up the vehicle in the driveway so that the back of the car is facing their home so they can have a shorter distance with the groceries. But here's the kicker. Here is why a lot of drivers do not want to go above and beyond. Fact is, if you listen to her commentary, that she talks about the driver backed up to the driveway, put the chair in the trunk, helped her put the chair in the trunk. You see another video where the chair is on the floor in the back seat of the vehicle. All on a rainy day too, by the way. So understand that if a wheelchair is outside on a rainy day, well, guess what? The wheels are wet. They may be muddy. There may be sand or salt, depending on what time of the year it is. So putting that wheelchair in the back seat of that vehicle leaves the driver with the possibility of also tracking mud, salt, sand, or something in his car. Guess who gets to clean that up after this passenger gets out? So I want you folks to understand that, but taken away from all of that, you notice in the commentary of this girl, one thing was missing. One thing that is the main reason why drivers do not go above and beyond on this shit. Not any mention of tipping that driver at all. Not any mention at all. I'm going to get his driver a $5 tip or something of that nature. It's just the entitled expectation that because I am disabled, the driver should go above and beyond what is required of him normally and help me out. We don't have to do that. And when you give us zero incentive to do it, a lot of us won't. Now, in my opinion, if you don't want to get out of the vehicle, and you show up and somebody needs assistance like that, let them know you're canceling the trip. They may not like it. Now you hear the girl in this video suggest that, well, I would have called someone else. Yeah, that sounds nice and sweet for the video. But if you're waiting 20, 30 minutes, an hour for an Uber or a Lyft to arrive, The car shows up, sees you are disabled, and says, listen, I don't want to do this. Could you please call another car? She's not going to be short and sweet like that. She'd be making another damn video about how somebody left her. So it sounds good on video to say, yeah, I would have just caught another car. No, you wouldn't. You would have made another damn video complaining about somebody leaving a disabled girl. But I'm just making this video to let folks who are disabled, elderly, special needs, or any of that type know that tipping your driver goes a long way. Now, I want you to see something, because this is in the comment section of her video. Now, clearly she's a disabled, attractive young girl, so everybody is going to sympathize with the disabled over some Uber driver, because most people do not realize the plight of Uber drivers. Most of our trips pay us well under $10. You take somebody 3 or 4 miles, like I often say in my market, we make 72 cents a mile. So if I had got out of the vehicle and did everything that girl asked, and let's say she traveled 10 miles, which is longer than the average trip, but let's say I drove her for 10 miles, I would earn $7.20 for driving her 10 miles, which could easily take up 20 minutes of my time or more. Plus, I have to come back the 10 miles I drove her out. Uber and Lyft drivers do not make a lot of money at all. So they're not going to be excited to go above and beyond for folks that do not tip. But listen to the comment section. And as I told you folks, a lot of folks are going to side with the woman. But I wanted you to hear 2 comments that I thought were especially important. First comment, did you report it? Talking to the disabled girl in her comment section, asking her, did you report it? He can find another job. As a driver, it is expected to meet everyone and anyone in any way they are needed. So essentially, this comment individual person is commentating is stating that it is that driver's job to assist any type of passenger in any way necessary. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. We do not have to do anything but open up the door, let you in, and take you to point B. The only exception is we have to oftentimes let in service animals. If you're blind and you have a CNI dog or something like that, the driver has to take that. Now, be damned if the driver happens to have an allergy or something to animals. Once again, just like with Uber and Lyft not letting us know if passengers are disabled or not, they don't advise us if a service animal is going to be in the vehicle either. We don't find any of that stuff out until we show up to you. So understand, if a driver ever shows up, looks you in the eye or looks you up and down and takes off, make no doubt about it, he is just finding out your situation when he sees you. There is zero advisory coming from Uber or Lyft that a passenger needs to have you help them with a wheelchair, help them down the stairs, fold up a walker. None of that is in the comment section or in the trip details when we show up to pick you up. And like this girl said, well, I understand if he drove off and sent another driver. Yeah, you say that now, but if you're standing out in the cold or something like that, you're not going to be as so friendly about it. Now, here are 2 comments that were in the comment section that I really find important. These resonate coming from an actual driver. First comment, drivers go through a lot, and wheelchairs, strollers, etc. messes up their cars, takes up time, and most of the time with no tip. Now, if you've been listening, yours truly, your humble correspondent, I just said exactly that. This stuff takes time, takes physical effort, can often leave a mess in our vehicle, and at the end of the day, most passengers, 60% of passengers do not tip us at all. 60% never tip at all. According to a well-known article, 60% of Uber and Lyft passengers never tip, not even sometimes, never. Only 1% of rideshare passengers in a recent study stated that they tip all the time. 1%. So we already expect when you get in our vehicles that the chances of you tipping are very low. Period. And don't ever promise to tip us through the app. We know that's bullshit. Now, hear this other comment. This is from an actual rideshare driver in her own comment section. I'm an Uber driver and accept all trips. But if I'm helping you with your things, you should tip. And most people don't, which perhaps caused his attitude. You're damn right. That is a spot-on comment from someone who does this for a living. Most passengers do not tip us. I cannot stress that any more than I am now. And make no mistake about it, for you folks who may not be aware, us drivers get anywhere between 20 and 40% of your fare. The ride-sharing companies, talking about Uber and Lyft, takes between 60 and 80% of your fare. So if you take an Uber somewhere and you pay $10 to get from point A to point B as a passenger, understand that driver is probably getting $2 to $4 of that 10 you paid. Not even half, nowhere near half of any fare goes to the driver. So now you look at what you're asking that driver to do, the fact that you're not tipping him, and understand why you might hear him sigh because he doesn't want to do it. There's just no motivation, no initiative to do this other than I'm just a nice person. We deal with thousands of rides throughout the year. We got plenty other times to be nice, but at some point, we want to be recognized. How about giving your drivers a damn tip? It's your boy Tim with another video. I'll catch you next time, and as always, subscribe to the damn channel, and I'll see you in the next one.